Okay, it looks like we have attendees in the room, and it is 10:07. So welcome everyone. This is a public hearing and a workshop hosted by the city's CDA, Community Development Administration. And the purpose of today's workshop is to answer questions, explain, go through and help people apply for this most recent NOFA, Notice of Funding Availability for vacant unit terms, with the goal of housing people who have been displaced by the May 16th tornado. So the city of St. Louis has made available $2.5 million for nonprofits, CDCs, or government property owners and developers to renovate vacant units, and we want to do this quickly. We know that the need to respond to the tornado on May 16th is still overwhelming, and many families and individuals are still displaced. So we will are eager to work with our partners in the community who can quickly renovate units and get folks housed. So I'll do quick introductions. Hello, my name is Tom Nagel. I'm the Public Information Officer for CDA. So for all of you here, thank you. I hope that you subscribe to the CDA email newsletter and follow us on our social media. My role here is to make sure that the community is aware of everything CDA is doing so we can form partnerships and make investments to build affordable housing and do great social services throughout the St. Louis region. I'll pass it to my CDA team to do their own introductions, starting with Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Christian. I am the Special Assistant for Housing Production with CDA. Pam?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pam Olivier. I'm the Residential Housing Manager with CDA.
Good morning. I'm Trey McCarter, and I lead the environmental review team here for CDA.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Duncan Carson, and I'm a housing analyst here at CDA.
We also have Shatanya.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chaitanya Alam. I'm a Salesforce admin for CDA. Thank you.
And Kevin.
Good morning, I'm Kevin Ellison, Assistant to the Executive Director with CDA.
Great. Let's go ahead and start this presentation. And as we move through sections, we have, let's see, just under 20 slides. So we should be able to move pretty swiftly. And then we'll really focus on the end where we can do open Q&A. So just as a reminder, this is your chance when we get to Q&A to ask questions live, and we can have a thorough discussion to explain any nuances or answer any questions you have. After today's workshop, questions and answers are going to have to be made in writing. So this is your opportunity. Don't miss it. So I will share my screen and start this slideshow. As we go, the chat is open to everyone. So this is your opportunity for questions and answers. So put your questions in the chat, or at the end, we can bring you on live. So let's see here. I'll share. Okay, so we will start this slide deck. So we are here for the NOFA for tornado recovery for vacant unit turns. Today is the public hearing. It is October 7th. So going through our agenda, we'll talk a bit about CDA. Most of you are familiar, hopefully because you subscribe to our newsletter, and thank you for doing that. If you're not on it, just go to CDA's homepage, which is the city's website /CDA, scroll down and sign up, and copy and paste your coworkers' emails and sign them up too. It is the best way to stay up to date with CDA. So we will go through this NOFA, the eligible activities, eligible applicants, etc. We'll go through the evaluation criteria, and we will brief you on the awards process, and then we'll do that Q&A. If you want to read the NOFA document, there's a link to it right here on our homepage, stlewis-mo.gov/CDA, and you'll find a link there directly to the document where you can read through it. CDA, we are a city department, and we are the clearinghouse for a variety of federal, state, and local funds for the city of St. Louis. And we fund a wide range of nonprofits doing public services, and we work with developers to build affordable housing. We use HUD funds, ARPA, SLURF, and local funds. We are the city's clearinghouse for funds and our primary grant-making department. Here's just an example of some of the various groups that we fund. So we are the primary hub for grant funding in the city of St. Louis as a department. With that, I will pass it over to Stephanie, who will start leading us through this NOFA. And Stephanie, you can just tell me next slide whenever you're ready for the next slide. There's already a question about will this be available after a video of this recording? It is streaming live on YouTube now, and that will be available as soon as this presentation is done, and it's streaming live now on YouTube. And as soon as we're finished on our main page for this NOFA, I'll post a link to that YouTube. Sandra already asked, with the shutdown, will you be able to get a unique ID? Let's get to that at the end. Let's just start going through this presentation now. Okay, I'll send it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, Tom, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We really are looking forward to working with you all in this effort to assist and support our neighbors who have experienced loss during this crisis. And we appreciate all of the work that you all do, not only during times like this, where this citywide efforts are really needed to recover and come together as a community, but all of the continued work that you do day in and day out is really critical, and we appreciate you all. So thank you for being here. We have opened up this NOFA on September 26th. It will be open through October 31st or until all available funding is obligated, which may occur prior to October 31st or potentially after. We will see how things go, although we have already had a wonderful response from you all just being open a week or so. So this is going to be a rolling application, meaning we will not be waiting for the deadline to make awards. We are going to be reviewing and making awards ongoing as we receive them, or as quickly as possible as we receive them. Like I said, we've already had such a tremendous response, so we'll be getting through those as quickly as possible. Next slide. As Tom mentioned, we have approximately 2.5 million in RAMS settlement funds for this program. This figure is subject to change as we continue to identify alternate sources to contribute to this effort. Next slide, please. So a brief overview of the sort of timeline of this program to get the units repaired and occupied. We have first off the Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA, that is open from September 26th to approximately October 31st. The evaluation and selection process is ongoing. Once you are selected, you will have a couple of items to submit to us, including a final budget for approval, any additional documentation such as the insurance with CDA named as an additional insured. There may be a few other items. We'll cover that in upcoming slides. Then we go to the Board of ENA approval, which there has been implemented a schedule of special ENA sessions that will occur more frequently than the regular monthly sessions, solely for the intent to address the needs of the tornado recovery. So that will assist us in progressing through the process a little quicker. And once that Board of ENA has approved the agreements, we can execute the legal documents. And then you will have access to the funds to draw down. Next slide, please. Eligible applicants include not-for-profit developers, community development corporations, and public governmental entities that already own a portfolio of rental properties that are operational. CDA will fund activities that provide affordable rental housing specifically for families that have been displaced by the May 16th tornado. And entities are required to be fully registered with SAM.gov, more so than just obtaining a unique entity identification, which can be done without a full registration. And I do know that there was already a comment regarding the government shutdown and access to this registration, which we may have to do a little further looking into that as we're all experiencing the challenges of the shutdown together. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. We've noted it, and we will send out a notice a little later on once we have some more detail as far as how that website can be accessed and what the workaround may be if needed. So thank you for that note. Eligible activities. So the RAM settlement funds can be used for minor repairs, maintenance, and updates to vacant rental housing units. The units must be rented to families who have been identified through a case management agency in need of rapid rehousing as a direct result of the May 16th tornado. Okay. Landlords or property managers must coordinate with these case management agencies to house eligible families. Next slide, please. And the CDA assisted units must remain in good repair as determined by annual CDA inspection for a minimum of 5 years. Okay. Rent limits must adhere to the St. Louis, Missouri, Illinois Metro Fair Market rents for fiscal year 2026. Tom, we may need to make that document available on the documents page on the website so that folks can have direct access to it. You can also find it if you just Google for the fair market rents in fiscal year 2026. It's pretty easy to find, but we will also link it to our page as well for your convenience. So CDA will offer financial assistance of up to an average of $10,000 per unit. If you have additional sources of funding, such as your own equity or bank loans or whatever that may be, the total cost of repairs for the unit must not exceed $20,000. Okay? And this is because we want these units to turn quickly, with only minor repairs needed to get people housed as soon as possible. So there is a limit to the total cost of repairs per unit to that 20,000. And CDA will cover up to an average of 10,000 per unit. All funds must be expended and units occupied no later than December 31st of this year, 2025. Next slide, please. Okay. So minor repairs eligible to be covered by CDA include, but are not necessarily limited to, your cosmetic work, such as painting, excuse me, replacing carpet, professional cleaning, window coverings, and such. Your basic maintenance to ensure mechanical systems, electrical and plumbing systems, as well as appliances are all in good working order, and there are secure and functioning door locks, changing locks, and that type of maintenance. Also, like for like replacement, such as if you're possibly replacing doors or windows to replace with an equal product. And other repairs that have a negligible impact on structural integrity or safety of the building. So minor repairs and maintenance. Next slide, please. Some ineligible parties would be those who have been debarred on the state or federal debarment list, entities that have failed to pay city income and or property taxes in previous years based on city databases and public record, those who have defaulted on a previous CDA loan, including tax credit bridge loans, or have failed to complete a previous CDA assisted project. Projects which the developer plans to occupy as their personal residence are ineligible. And at this point in time, for-profit developers and landlords are not eligible for this particular round of funding. Owners who have a history of problem properties, tenant complaints, unethical management, or poor property management, which exposes tenants to health and safety risks and or a high eviction rate. This is also based on city databases and public record. And finally, entities that do not clear the Central Business Index inquiry. This will be performed by CDA at the time of the application evaluation. So on your part, you'll just need to ensure that you have a current business license and you're up to date on all city taxes. And when CDA runs that inquiry, you will be approved. Next slide. I'm going to turn it over now to Trey to discuss the potential risk for any choice limiting actions for projects that have also received or are currently applying for HUD funding.
Thank you, Stephanie. CDA does recognize that for organizations that also have CDBG or home awards for specific properties, that if you apply for the VUT and are awarded.
Okay, and you're on, Trey.
Thank you, and I apologize for the interruption. CDA recognizes that with this NOFA, it presents an opportunity or a scenario where a choice limiting action could be committed for organizations that have an award under CDBG or home. And therefore, applicants who have a current application submitted to the 2025 Housing Production NOFA for the same or affiliated units as those proposed in response to this NOFA must consider the risk of a choice limiting action and forfeiture of eligibility for HUD funding in the current round if repairs are performed on units that have been submitted for consideration for CDBG or home. CDA is the responsible entity, and it is our discretion to determine if a choice limiting action has been committed. I want to stress that environmental review, which choice limiting action comes into play with environmental review, is not required if you only have an award under the VUT NOFA. Environmental review is not required. So this only applies to projects that have overlap between the two. So your submission should include detailed floor plans, scopes of work, and budgets that specifically list impacted units if you have an award under both programs. please differentiate between your VUT units from those that have received CDBG or home funding. And finally, I'll say, because this is new to all of us, that projects with awards for VUT and CDBG will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis for choice limiting actions. Next slide.
And Pam, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your patience during a few moments where we were experiencing a little hiccup. I am Pam Aluvir, and I am very happy for the turnout. I am very happy to see those who are willing to help our fellow neighbors in the aftermath of this tornado. What I'd like to reiterate are some of the things you've already heard in terms of who's eligible to participate in this program, what those activities look like, what the funding is that's available. And I'd like to go in a little bit more detail and more discussion about how the actual application will flow during this process. Many of you may have applied for funding in the past with CDA, so the process is not that different. We do ask for a full application, and we have required attachments that must be submitted. Everything is submitted through Salesforce. So we have provided a link to use to submit all your documentation, but we will not be accepting any hard copies or email applications. Everything at this time will go through Salesforce. Next slide, please. We will look at all applications that have been completed, including the eligibility criteria that we've requested, and all the required attachments, which are included in the NOFA on pages 6 through 9, are included for your reference. It's very important that you're very clear on what's expected to participate in the program, and all the attachments that are needed are part of that, so that we can rate this and hopefully award you. As Stephanie mentioned earlier, these applications are being viewed on a rolling basis. So as we get those in, we're looking through them, we're looking to see if the criteria has been met, and we're looking at the scope of work that you're describing for your actual units. This is new for all of us. This is something where quickness is really important. We are trying to house as many people as we can before it gets really cold. So there is a sense of urgency, but we also want to be very clear on what the requirements are and make sure that you are able to offer those and provide this needed housing. There may be some changes in your application that could impact how we can rate it. So be very careful when you're looking at units that you want to offer for the tornado survivors. Because if there's like a change in the person that's going to do the construction or the minor repairs for your units, if you change that person out, a new person may come in with new budgets, and that could impact what we've already received. So be very careful that you are assessing the work that's needed to make it ready for move-in for a tenant. Also keep in mind, we need really detailed information about the scope of work, because we will come and look at the units before the work starts, and then we'll be looking at it afterwards to make sure the scope of work provided is what was completed for the units. Next slide, please. The application contents. As I stated, a full completed application and the required attachments are needed. Included in those are the most important, the worksheet of the repairs needed. So if you want to repair a window, replace a window, be very detailed on what actual activity is needed, and put down the expected dollar amount for that activity, because those are two key pieces to see if you are adhering to the average of $10,000 per unit and no more than $20,000 per unit. The current business license, always required. Proof of insurance, we do ask for this on all of our projects. That's general liability, automobile liability, workman's comp. If you are selected, we do ask that you show CDA as an additional insured. Next slide, please. Additional things requested is the conflict of interest. Completing that to make sure there is no conflict with maybe an existing employee of CDA versus a person who's applying for the application. Proof of nonprofit status is very important because at this time, for-profit entities are not able to participate in this round, but hopefully future rounds. We do ask for a W-9. We are providing reimbursement funding for the repairs that you make on your unit. So that W-9 allows us to make those payments to you. A sample lease agreement. We want to see what you have in place for existing tenants and have a copy of that included with the application so that we know how the tenants are covered in your space. If you are renovating or making minor repairs to units that are before the built year of 1978, we do ask that the contractor doing the work on those units has the EPA Renovate, Repair, and Paint certificate, which they all should have, because if they disturb the paint before 1978, there's a chance of lead. So that certification is required. And if third-party lead assessment is needed, we'll ask for a lead plan and provide that information to us also. This only applies for buildings built before 1978, and if you are going to disturb the paint. Okay. Next slide, please. We want as many people as possible to be able to participate and make a difference and house our fellow neighbors. We ask that you be very mindful of the terms and conditions in which to participate. Please reference Section 7 in the NOFA, and it will give you more details so you know exactly what the expectations are. Let me talk just a little bit about the role of the landlord with the case management. Since the tornado, the displaced residents have been working with various charitable organizations throughout the city. And we, CDA, Department of Health and Human Services, and other agencies have been working with these agencies to put together a pipeline, because each of these groups, as example, American Red Cross, Urban League, St. Louis Area on Aging, they all have a separate group of people who have come to them and they've been assisting. So we are going to be able to hopefully match tenants or potential tenants who need houses with units that you have turned over and ready to put out there for them to live in. It is going to be a process. And what we plan on is once the applicants are awarded money to move forward with this, we will provide agencies for you to work with, and they will provide you with names of tenants that are looking for housing. So that part comes once the award is made to the individual landlord and units that we found works within what we're looking for. This is totally new for everyone, but it is so needed. And the quickness, which CDA is not always known for quick projects, we are looking for as quick turnaround as possible, as we stated before, December 31st. So we are looking forward to working with you. We're looking forward to seeing your applications and moving forward with this process. As Tom stated, we, the management team and the housing analyst team, we can't take individual questions as you move along the process, but you can send any questions to the email site that's listed here. And then all of the questions and answers will be publicly shown on our webpage so that everyone gets to see what questions may come up, what the responses were. We are looking forward to, and we're already getting a great response. So we want to also move quickly to give you feedback, to come out and look at your sites, and hopefully move forward with housing our neighbors. Next slide. As Tom mentioned, we are involved in many things throughout the city, and we want you to be connected to what we're doing and how we can partner to do even more for the city. And this is just a list of some of the things we do and want to be a part of and want you to join us. Next slide. I will say the urgency can't be stressed enough. Since it's a rolling basis, you can submit applications as soon as you've completed that and have those attachments, and we will start our review. Please keep in mind, we would like to have people housed before December 1st if we could. So keep that in mind as you look through what your property could offer to assist us. And at this point, I will turn it back over to Tom. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you everyone who came back after we had a little glitch. So I see we're back at 66 attendees. So if anyone thinks they missed anything, we can go back and go through slides again. We're going to go ahead and start the Q&A here. So there were some in the chat that I think might have been answered. Let's just go ahead and just see if anyone wants to ask any questions live. So go ahead and raise your hand and we'll bring you in and take questions live. And then we'll start kind of going through the chat. Remember, this is your opportunity. After today's workshop, you're going to have to email these in, and then for fairness and the competitive process, we'll publish all the questions and all the answers at once. But we're reviewing these as they come in. So we want to move quickly. So let's just work from the chat here. Will sorry, I'm trying to type at the same time. Will this video be posted? I just posted both the first part and then the second part on the main webpage for this NOFA. I just put that link in the chat so you can watch this again and again. Tasha from the chat asks, how other landlords paid? Do we have to apply for housing voucher acceptance? Does anyone on the CDA team want to answer that? How we're going to partner with social service organizations 211 and adjacent?
Many of the tenants that are working currently with case management have vouchers, and they would be bringing that voucher to the residents that they would move into. So you would necessarily have to apply, but they normally have some funding in place. There may also be tenants who meet the requirements of your rental payments and may not need the assistance, but that would be coordinated with the case manager that they're working with. So there'll be some form of source of income that they're using currently that would transfer to the residents that they're actually moving to.
Do you
Right.
have any knowledge currently as far as which programs are providing those vouchers? If I'm not mistaken, I do believe FEMA is providing some type of rental assistance. Is that correct?
FEMA does have rental assistance in place, and many of those residents who may have already started is over 18-month period, which probably the clock started ticking in June. So FEMA is definitely one source. Another source would be housing vouchers that are sometimes used in public entities. That may also be a way that they would come to work with case management. So it really depends on that individual and what they had secured when the tornado first happened.
Thank you. And the city is also working continuously to identify other sources and programs that can be utilized for rental assistance. So there may be other local programs that are implemented in the near future as well.
Yes, yes. The rental assistance is also being looked at that could be from the city, but that part we're still working through. But yes.
Yeah, and there's also from FEMA, continued temporary housing assistance. So
Thank you.
it is still available, and STL Recovers .com is the place to go. So use those resources and please share. Back to the chat, Raul asks, he was a little confused about what insurance is needed. Could the CDA team go through what insurance is needed to apply for this NOFA?
Liability insurance is one, general liability insurance, which we would ask for any property, and you probably already have in place. If you are selected, we do ask that you show CDA as an additional insured on the policy. So it's normally on that first page at the box in the bottom, you would indicate CDA additional insured. And that would be in place at least for the 5-year period that we asked for earlier. So this is not extra, it's really the same kind you would normally have, property or general liability. Workman's comp was also suggested based on the work that's needed to be done in that unit. That's covering the crew that's working on the unit.
And I will just add that the specific coverage minimums are listed in the NOFA document and also in the slides.
Great. Stephanie, that's a great reminder. Read the NOFA document. It's a PDF. It's about 20 pages long, but all the details are in that document. Any questions you have are likely already in that document. Read that PDF. And I just posted a link in the chat. Okay, working through the chat, and then I do see the hands raised, so we'll get over there. Constant asks, what advice should we give to past displaced tenants who are interested in getting rehoused in these vacant unit turn units? So folks that have been displaced, what should they do? Should they contact a service provider, find a case manager? Does CDA have any advice for tenants that want to get into these houses, into these units?
I'm not sure in this instance if I'm looking at the question again now. So if I understand correctly, they want to move back into their own units or close to it as possible. And they're not working with case management at all. This is kind of set up to work through a case manager. I would think if they want to make any types of changes to their current living environment, connecting with an organization to help make that possible would be a first start. Because then they can let them know what units are available and help provide some guidance in connecting them to those spaces. So I would think if they currently aren't working with a case management organization, I would select one. There are several that they can consider, because I think that's going to be the connection or pipeline to get them to a different space.
Yeah, Pam, that sounds about right. I think we should let's revisit that and contact CDA. Let's talk about that. The purpose of this workshop and this program is really focusing on this NOFA to renovate vacant units. And that's, I think, very construction side. And then the people side, there's coordination and partnership that needs to happen. So let's continue that conversation on how to really focus on those individuals that are seeking specific units. That might not be what we're doing in this workshop, that specialty where we answer that question. We're really focusing on the construction side, but let's stay in dialogue about those. So my contact information is all over CDA's website, so let's get in touch. Let's go through two more from the chat and then get to some hands raised. Jessica asks that for-profits landlords are ineligible. That's correct. We're focusing on nonprofits, CDCs. CDA knows that many of them have great track record, can move quickly with these. Janice asks, will the units need to be furnished? That's an interesting question. Or what level of furniture, couches versus refrigerators? I don't know, Pam or CDA team?
We really hadn't, that really wasn't a requirement to be furnished. We were just asking for existing appliances to be in working condition. So we had not talked about furnishings for the units. That is not currently a requirement, but any appliance to be in working condition and safe, secure, sanitary, those are our requirements.
And then Trevon asked, will there be a point when for-profit landlords can apply? Will this open for for-profits? Do we anticipate that or
We
no?
hope so. We hope so because we do have a good relationship with for-profit entities. It's just not in this first round, but we do hope to possibly see that in the future.
So this is a nuanced one. Megan asks, would an application be eligible that had a nonprofit as a fiscal manager and a community landlord in charge of the units? So it sounds like maybe the property is owned privately, but managed by a for-profit or a nonprofit entity. That's a nuance. Do we want to come back to that?
I'd say yes, we should come back to that one. Hadn't considered that scenario.
Okay, and then Dallas reminded me that I am posting links, but they're only going to the panelists. So I will start sending those to everyone. Michael asks, will rental rates be comparable to rates on the north side prior to the tornado? I believe that it is in the NOFA, that there are rules on what those rental rates will need to be.
That is correct. The rental rates must meet the HUD fair market rental rates. That document you can find either simply by Googling fair market rental rates for 2026. And we will also post that document on the webpage with the NOFA documents for you to access more easily.
Sandra asks, can landlords rent rooms to tenants to qualify? Does that, I wonder if that means a room in a house with maybe shared amenities like kitchens and bathrooms?
For this particular program, we are looking for fully amenity rental units. So a lot of these families who have been displaced are families with multiple members. So we are looking for rental units that have their own inclusive facilities and appliances.
Great. And then let's do just this one more. Matthew asked, is funding transferable between units if actual costs are higher or lower than expected? For example, if there's 2 units and one's budgeted for $10,000 each, but one is less than 10,000 and one is more than 10,000. So there's 2 units, is it per unit or per, I guess, package of units in an application? And this is Matthew, CDA, if you can see this in the chat. Does that question make sense?
It does. And the CDA 10,000 limit is an average between all the units. So to answer your question, yes. So if you have one that's a little higher and one that's a little lower, as long as the average of the units does not exceed 10,000 for CDA funding. However, the 20,000 per unit max cost of repairs is a hard fixed number per unit. And that is intended, again, to just ensure that the repairs are minor enough that these units can be turned and brought back online quickly.
Great, good question. I'm gonna come over to people with their hands raised. I'm gonna bring Linda in. Linda, you've had your hand raised for a while. Would you like to ask a question live?
Yes.
Okay,
Can you
we can
hear me?
hear you loud and
Great.
clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm a little confused. I'm just a private owner. And does that mean that I'm a owner for profit?
Yes,
Okay, so I'm not
So-
eligible.
correct. If you're, unless
Okay.
you are incorporated as a nonprofit, you are considered a for-profit owner and therefore not eligible for this
Okay.
program.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Let's bring Brenda in. Brenda, do you have a question? Brenda? Brenda Quarles? Brenda, you are unmuted, but we can't hear you. Maybe get into the chat. Let's bring Raul. Raul, you're here. You want to
Yeah.
ask a question live?
Yes. Actually, I'm gonna speak on. He's right here. Right. Okay. This vacant turn program is for the storm victims, and we all know that the primary goal is to get these people rehoused with rapid housing through organizations like United Way, St. Patrick's, Beyond Housing, etc., in the form of a housing voucher. Okay, so previously you all had a NOFA rental program grant application. Um, if some of us, these people online, have already submitted that application, which was very, very similar, and the goal as well was to house the homeless and prevent homelessness in St. Louis. There has not been any response from your office, from CDA or SLDC or anyone in reference to those submitted applications. I'm concerned.
Sure, and we hear you loud and clear. And could you say your name, please?
I am Lynn Anderson. We just decided to share it. Raul Holman. I'm
Okay.
to register for this meeting as well. We didn't want to bring in 2 computers because then the noise will be conflicted.
Yeah, Lynn, we hear you loud and clear that, and we're hearing that a lot, that uh, the spring housing production NOFA,
Yes.
which we extended the deadline 30 days after the tornado to give people more time, and we have not made those announcements for those awards yet. And this is about the time when we usually would, the end of September, beginning of October. So there are a lot of moving parts with these funds. And so we apologize and just hang in there. CDA and the city are really looking at what our priorities are right now. So unfortunately, we have not made those announcements yet with those awards. There's huge demand and we need to really sort through and prioritize those. So I hear your concern and we apologize that there's no news yet. This program is using RAMS funds, which are flexible. They're local and controlled by the city of St. Louis. The housing production come from HUD, which are federal, and we need to be very thoughtful about how we use those. It's complicated using federal funds, as you know how frustrating the application can be. So what I can just share is we hear your concern and we are working through that. I don't know if Pam or Stephanie want to share any other nuances to
No, I think you
why is it
stated,
taking so long?
I think you stated it very well, and we do apologize for any delay. There was a pivot with the tornado, and so
Put your
we
face.
have been doing a lot more things to address the recovery, but the flexibility also with the funding does make a difference. But it is still a priority on our list to address and get information out about the spring NOFA.
Okay, now I just want to say one thing in reference to the initial question. This vacant turn thing for landlords, like ourselves, Holman Properties and Investments with Mr. Holman. The initial goal, again, is to house the tornado victims, because I know that this one is very specific, for the tornado victims. But just as the other customer online stated, she's a private individual with homes and she's a landlord. Well, this is kind of misleading because that's most of us online. That's what we are. We're landlords. So landlords mainly are not nonprofit. So it puts us out of the competition, and it only allows churches and organizations that always receive the funding from your office to repeatedly receive the funding. It's not allowing the landlords that have the houses to house the tornado victims. This is not allowing that. Do you think that you all could reconsider that at some point?
Yeah, Lynn, we definitely hear you. And so some of this decision making is we already know from the community development corporations that they have a lot of vacant units. And from previous NOFAs like this, we know that they can move fast. So speed is the key on this. What I will share, and I'll put this in the chat, is that your feedback is definitely very, very helpful. And I'm gonna put this in the chat. You might have seen, I think it was on August 20th. This went out in the news. We have a survey. We want to hear from landlords like you, private landlords, about the state of your vacant units. And that's going to help us design hopefully a future program to work with groups like you, for-profit landlords that have vacant units that just need a little repairs to get going. So I'm gonna find this and send it, put it in the chat for you. We want you to sign up. Okay?
Now, we did originally fill out this thing that was for landlords to complete, and it would connect you to those organizations. So we're kind of already familiar with the process itself because we know about Beyond Housing has different pockets of these projects that they've completed all around St. Louis City and St. Louis County, Wellston in particular being one of them. And this is what I'm going to say. It's a great idea and it's great projects. But those are bigger projects that have single family homes that house the homeless and make them eligible for rapid housing. But again, the single landlords, it will be more personable. The properties are more well kept because these are not larger projects. So when you're dealing with single landlords, it's not gonna be a disaster. And some of these things can start out good with the larger developers, but then it can turn into a disaster with things like trash and whatnot.
Yeah. Lynn, thank you for that input, and
Mhm.
we are taking notes of that as we move forward with this, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the chat here. Catch up on where we are. Monica asks, what are the SAM requirements besides UEI? Referring to page 8 on the slide deck. So that I think that's the SAM.gov getting a unique entity identification.
Yes, so
Fully
the,
registered.
right, the unique entity identification is merely the assigning of the number to your agency, but it does not fully register you as an entity that is tracked and reported into SAM.gov. And we need to be able to run a search for your entity and show that there has been no debarment through this database. And so if you only have a unique entity identification without a full registration of your entity, it will not come up. It will show you as not registered. So that's what that is. So there is the two parts to it. We did note earlier that another participant here today noted that the government shutdown has hindered access to that website, which we'll have to look into, and we will provide updates as we find them ourselves as far as how to navigate that.
Great, Stephanie. And then back to the chat. Sorry, I got a little lost. Where did we leave off?
There's one regarding, are we required to use a GC?
Okay, yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. It's not required, but it really is a recommendation. I do know that some of the larger properties have a maintenance staff that does all the work on their units. So based on the amount of work and the type of repairs needed, the maintenance staff can be used, but we do kind of recommend a contractor that's licensed and that can provide their budget and their scope of work with your application.
Great, thank you. John asks, although no specific questions will be entertained, will a staff person be available to assist in the submission? No. This is the workshop, so this is your chance if you have any questions. This is competitive, okay? So we are not allowed to help anyone. This is competitive. Tasha asks, will contractors have to have their own insurance?
Most times they do. If they do not, the workman's comp that we recommended would cover the work that they would do in your unit or units.
I will suggest that it is a best practice to work with contractors who are insured.
Definitely. Dallas, I am going to put the rest of the links in the chat. Sorry about that earlier. Constant asks, can we provide a list of case management organizations? Many folks are still looking on their own. That is great feedback that I'm going to work on. I'm going to get in touch with our Department of Human Services. Today's workshop is really talking about the construction side, but this discussion is very helpful that we are seeing the need to really outline the human side of this. How are those connections going to happen? So thank you for that. I'm writing down notes that we need to really start addressing that. If people apply for this, what's going to be that process of connecting with social services? And if you're already working with displaced residents with your own property, within your own organization, your own tenants, what are their resources? So thank you for that.
And I will state also, Tommy, CDA is working with case managers. We have meetings weekly. So we
Excellent.
are going to have part of that process defined by the time the awards are made to the applicants.
Could you say that one more time? Because was very
Yeah,
clarifying.
CDA and Department of Health and Human Services, we do meet with several case management organizations weekly. And we are going through how that process will look. And it will be part of the award package. So they know the different entities that they can join to connect with and get lists of tenants that would like to move in.
Great. So apply now, knowing that this program is coming together with many moving
Absolutely.
parts. Excellent. And I think part of that other question is, what about tenants displaced now? They should, Pam, do you have any guidance or?
I think my initial response still would be connect with an organization. That's the start, because they're going to know, they're going to have more information for you as far as places and subsidies and assistance financially. So I think talking to an existing charitable organization, connecting with one would be the first step.
Great. Would a tiny house qualify for this project? Unique question. How tiny?
Is it a CDC or nonprofit providing several tiny homes for rental assistance? I mean, that would be one of my questions. Who's providing the tiny homes? If it's still a CDC or a nonprofit?
And do they include a bathroom and appliances?
Right. That would be part of the assessment when individuals are looking at if they meet the criteria to participate for the funding of the award, to look at those basic things that we're asking for. If a tiny home meets that and it's a nonprofit entity and they meet the criteria, they should submit their information.
Great. And then the next question is, what if they expect the work to need to go beyond December 31st of this year?
We're really trying really hard to get people in before the end of the year, before it gets cold. So at this time, our cutoff of December 31st, it's really humanitarian. We're just trying to get people in place.
These are kind of repeats. We're gonna have more information soon about the connections between nonprofits. Dallas has a question about, we want to move quick. Is it realistic that we'll have a 4 to 6 week pre-contract process that we're gonna be able to draw up and execute contracts this quickly?
We believe so. That is our hope and our intent. Because we do not have the same requirements as we do with our federally funded projects, we anticipate that the movement is going to be much more rapid. So short answer is yes, that's the intent. That's all I can say at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with Stephanie. This is a much shorter process, and there are special ENAs that are happening to address and get the approvals needed at a faster pace too. So that is our hope and our intention, yes.
Great. And the next question is, what's the last day that questions need to be submitted to be posted? I hope that is in the NOFA document. I can check. But we will be posting Q&As once a week with the deadline being October 31st.
Yes,
So-
because this process is a little bit fluid in the way that it also depends on when the funds are all obligated, which is stated before, maybe before or after the October 31st. So we did not post a hard date as far as the last opportunity to post email questions. So we will be checking it. Also, please make sure that you are signed up for the newsletter. That will be our means of communicating to the public any updates, changes, revisions to this program, and also announcing any new programs that become available. I would also like to note, please, with the email questions, as you can imagine, we get quite a few of those email questions, and we do try our best to respond in a timely manner to each of them. It is really helpful if you all can check the posted Q&A prior to submitting a new question. We do get a lot of duplicate questions. And again, we like to respond to everybody, even if it is a duplicate question, just to let them know that they were heard and the question was received. But it helps us respond more timely if you can just make sure that your question has not already been asked and answered before submitting a new question. I would also like to note that there is technical assistance available for Salesforce. If you have any questions as far as how that portal functions, or if there appears to be any type of malfunction, you can reach our Salesforce administrator for those types of questions at CDA grants at stlouis-mo.gov. And Tommy, would you mind popping that into the chat?
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we've been in the chat for a while. I know there's a lot there. Everyone be patient. I want to bring in State Rep Kimberly Ann Collins, who's had their hand raised for a while.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Hi, Tom. Hi, Miss Pam.
Hi.
I just have a quick question about so in our neighborhood in the Ville, we had a lot of families that were we had a lot of individuals that were impacted that are in recovery housing, and we have some recovery providers that are nonprofit organizations that provide recovery housing. And I wanted to see if they qualify for this, and if so, is there anything around prioritizing some of these individuals that have substance use issues to be able to get into some of these vacant units through the recovery housing programs that do qualify for this?
That's a really great question. Pam?
It's a very specific question. Hi, Kimberly. The first part, if I understand correctly, the entity you're describing is a nonprofit. Is that a yes?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a nonprofit in the state of Missouri. It's a couple of different nonprofits in the state of Missouri that offer housing, that are identified as housing providers, but they specifically provide housing for individuals that have different substance use issues. And so in our neighborhood, we had many of them were impacted by the tornado, who either lost the rentals that they were renting via whatever, rental properties they were in, or some of them were in homes through recovery housing. So I'm just wondering if recovery housing has been made a priority for those individuals so that they're not back out on the streets.
Right now, the priority was anybody impacted by the tornado. So if your description includes that, then we would encourage them to work through an organization and identify units as they become available to move into. That's more of the piece that Tommy mentioned, where it's the human side and making those connections. Our first and foremost goal, CDA, was providing the spaces and identifying people to provide those spaces so that they can move in. I would say, if I understand your question, if there's a list of people and they're working with an organization and they need the housing, definitely connect with the organization. If the recovery group is the organization, then they will be connecting with the entities who are providing the spaces. So then I would count them as one of the case management teams, if I'm understanding your question correctly. This recovery group has people who they're providing, and you want to see if they can use one of the units.
Well, I really want to know if the recovery nonprofit organization, so for example, like the Child and Family Empowerment Center, just using them for example, they're a 501c3. Can they apply for this?
Yes, if they're a nonprofit now, but okay, make sure I'm clear, Kimberly. They're applying and they're going to provide some units for others to move into, or they're applying so that people that they're servicing can move into other units.
The people that they're servicing that have been impacted by the tornado
Can move to other
would be
units.
the individuals that they would be servicing, because those are folks that are without housing right now.
Okay. They need to work through an organization to get those names on the list, because the people who are applying to us are saying we have units that we're going to make move-in ready. And I don't think your group is saying that. You're saying they've got people who need housing. So I think they need to join an organization so that their names are funneled through.
Well, what I'm actually saying is the organization has units that could be made ready available for those individuals that within the program that were impacted by the tornado. Is that a conflict of interest if that organization applies?
Oh, if they're going to apply, get the money and use it for those individuals they're already working with.
Because people in recovery go
you.
through certain programs and go through certain
I
organizations
got you.
for recovery housing. So we were trying to debate if it was a conflict of interest if an organization applies specifically
and then uses that same list of names
for the participants in recovery that were impacted by the tornado.
That's a little bit of a twist. I don't know. I think we should talk offline, and I need to bring that up with Noel, and we see what, because that's a little bit of a twist, because in the end, the entity who's providing the repairs on those units are then providing to people that they're already servicing. So I think we should talk offline. I'm not saying it can't be done, but that's a little bit of a twist to the criteria that we have out there. And we should talk to that a little bit more. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you for all you're doing.
Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great question. That's really great input. Thank you. Trevon has had a hand raised for a long time. Let's bring them on. Trevon, are you still here? Had your hand raised for a while.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Hey. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the for-profit landlords, but I pretty much got my answer already. I'm just sticking around.
Okay.
Thank
you. Great. Cassandra? Cassandra, you've had your hand raised. You still have a question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know why I still act brand new with Zoom. I'm sorry. Okay. Um, I have a non-for-profit organization. Throughout since I've had this house for 1999, I've helped many individuals that experience homeless. However, this is my personal property. It's a two-family. I stay on the first floor. I have 4 bedrooms on the second floor that's collecting dust. Okay. So would I be considered, because I put that question in the chat, because my home is my personal, not under my non-for-profit, would that um make me a private landlord?
Yes, Cassandra.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, it is 11:33. Thank you for everyone's patience. We're gonna roll. Uh, um, let's get back into this chat. Michael asks, are the rates different between the north side and south side for rental rates? No, we are gonna post the
Fair market rates.
fair market rates for the city of St. Louis. Janice has the CDA working with Section 8. I think as we mentioned is these potential tenants, we're working with the providers now and they're going to come with their own assistance. So that is TBD, but this is for nonprofits, CDCs, renovating units. So we're going to work with you to renovate these units and that people part will come soon. Let's try and give some reassurance to Matthew. He asks, is CDA going to be pre-inspecting up to 250 units before construction begins? Are we going to tackle that, Pam and Stephanie?
We're doing site visits and we will move as quickly as we can. We have a whole team. We're taking pictures and we would be using the scope of work and the budget that's been provided to see kind of what it looks like and then how much of that work is getting done before we start to reimburse.
And once again, these are being considered on a rolling basis rather than in a bulk award. So as they come in, we'll be, and they are approved for consideration, we'll be scheduling those site visits ongoing.
Okay, we're moving along. Dallas asks, so are these funds, is this a reimbursement or is it an upfront award?
You're being reimbursed for the repairs that are made to the units, if I'm understanding the question correctly.
Sounds right.
Yes, so that's the safest way. I'll put it that way. That's the safest way to ensure that your contractors are paid within the time frame that they may require. Again, this program is intended to move quicker than our federally funded programs. So it is recommended that you do have a little bit of equity that you can put up front to make sure all of your vendors and contractors are paid, and then the city will reimburse you for that.
Great. And then I'm constant asks, I hope I'm understanding this question. Will partial awards be made if funds start running low, and will those, if it's not a full award, will it be made by specific unit, address by address? I hope I'm reading this question correctly.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't foresee that we will issue partial awards in the sense of what we have done in the past with some of our federal programs, because we do need these units to ensure that these units are completed in a timely manner. I should rephrase that to say in a very rapid manner. So should funds begin to become more limited, A partial award may be considered in the way of reducing the number of units that are being proposed. Hopefully that made sense. So if you propose, say, 10 units, we may only suggest CDA funding for the number of those units that can ensure that they will be fully turned and made ready for occupancy.
And then Raul asks, once the award is approved, other landlords want to be funded as the invoices are sent. I think that's to clarify the reimbursement MO of this.
Yes, that is the process. So the first draw, the invoices will be submitted. It will go through the process through CDA and the comptroller's office to get the check issued. Subsequent draw requests will need to include lien waivers for the previously paid invoices.
Okay. I'm not seeing hands raised. And we've gone through the chat. And unless I've missed anything, oh gosh, okay. So let's start going through the Q&A. Besides the chat, did I see correctly the funds need to be spent by the 31st? Yes, we're moving quickly. This application is similar to rental and affordable housing from spring. You can apply for both, but please remember Trey's part on choice limiting action. Yes. Remind me, did we answer this? Is a GC required, or can the property management company be the contractor performing the work?
They're performing the work and they also manage the property. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, do you have to hire a GC, or can you just use
If
your
it's a
own staff?
license, if they're licensed to do the work, that's fine.
Okay. Angela asks, if we have a Salesforce account in our business name and our property is under our personal name, do we create a new Salesforce account under our personal name?
So the properties must be listed under the name of the applicant, the legal entity that will be on our legal documents for execution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, whatever you're applying for, the name, the business entity doing the work, you want that to be your username in Salesforce. But if there's a technical question, CDA grants at stlewis-mo.gov. We can do those. Raul asked, how does CDA prevent the same nonprofits from receiving the same funds repeatedly? I think that's nuanced, and we've had this discussion. This is competitive. We really want to work with people that can get these vacant units turned and occupied. Keyless asks, how long is this process? So if someone applies now, what's the soonest can we anticipate when the first announcement might be? We're moving quickly, reviewing these.
That is difficult to say at this time. We have already received nearly 50 applications in just the first week of being open. So we are utilizing our full staff to review those and make contact for the next steps. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a specific time frame as far as what day those first announcements will be out. It's really just dependent on, when we can get through the applications, but we are utilizing the entire team and getting through them as quickly as possible.
Great, and there's a question about, is this webinar recorded and slides posted? I have already added the slides and the links to YouTube to the main CDA's residential development page. So if you go to CDA's homepage, there's a link to vacant unit turns right at the top. Click there, you'll see the YouTube links and the slide deck for today's webinar. Erica, I'm going to bring Erica on. You have your hand raised, Erica. I muted you. If you can unmute.
Yes, hi. I'm calling from
Hi.
Riverview West Florissant Development. We are a non-for-profit organization. At this time, we have like single-family homes that we are working to get back online. We have like 5 that are over 60% complete. Are these the type of units that you're looking for?
They're single family homes and where are they located again?
The Walnut Park area.
Walnut Park. And the development company name and was a nonprofit you said?
Yes, we are a development company.
And
Okay,
you're a
and-
nonprofit, Erica?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then you could apply. Nonprofits can apply if you have units that you can do and make move-in ready at that average cost of $10,000.
Okay,
And-
per unit?
Yes.
And
Okay.
are these single-family homes for rent or for sale?
We have been renting them out with some options to purchase in the future.
Gotcha. Okay, yes, for at this point in time, with this particular round, we're looking for rentals. So if it's a rental unit, it can be made ready with $10,000 or less of CDA funds within
Okay.
the time frame, and you're a nonprofit, you would be eligible to apply.
Okay, that's definitely doable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it is 1:45. Everyone's been very patient as we've gone through this slide and had a very, very robust Q&A. Again, this is your opportunity to ask questions directly to CDA staff and have a discussion. After this workshop, all questions are going to need to be written in to cdanofa@stlewis-mo.gov. And then once a week, we'll publish those questions and answers, but only for 3 more weeks as we're rating these as they come in. And the final day is Friday, October 31st. And today is Tuesday, October 7th. So this is your opportunity to ask CDA staff directly and have a discussion to work out any nuances, any questions you have as you apply. So I know we're getting to lunch. We have 39 folks in the room. Still hanging in, still learning, still part of this. So if there's any more questions, comments, input, feedback, observations, please let us know now. So I might count to 60 in my head and wait for anyone who wants to raise their hand or get into the chat. And let us know if you have any more questions about this program. So from CDA's homepage at stlewis-mo.gov/CDA, you can find that form to sign up for our e-newsletter. Don't just sign up yourself. Take all your coworkers, copy and paste their emails, sign them up too. That is the way to stay up to date with funding opportunities and updates and other interesting things from CDA, stories about our partners, other city resources, public events, et cetera, et cetera. Also from CDA's homepage, you'll find a link to this NOFA, the Tornado Recovery Vacant Unit Turns Program. From that homepage, which is just CDA's residential development. So city website /CDA/residential-development. I put in the chat. You'll find a link to the NOFA PDF. Read through that. Most of your questions are going to be there in that comprehensive PDF about this program. You'll find a link to the slide deck that we showed today, and you'll find a link to the part 1 and part 2. Sorry about that glitch, to this YouTube recording. So you can, anytime you want to enjoy this webinar, you can play it from YouTube while you're relaxing at home, mowing your lawn, or on a road trip. You can listen to this webinar and enjoy it. Questions and answers will be coming soon. We'll be posting the questions and answers from this webinar and new ones that come in from that same link that also has the slide deck and the link to the NOFA document. So we have worked through all of the questions and answers. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, for being a part of this recovery. It is so critical. Everyone doing everything that they can in this overwhelming task of recovery. Thank you, CDA staff, for being so helpful and dedicated, and working hard to prepare this NOFA and design it and be ready to rate applications. And thank you, Tony at SDL TV, for facilitating this Zoom call. So everyone have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Thank you so much.